Hi guys. Okay, so here's your next lesson, writing slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And this title should be looking familiar to you because we just got done writing slope-intercept form from a point in a slope. So this new lesson goes very well with this one. But I will say you need to stop the video if you haven't watched this one yet. Okay, you would need to go back to point in a slope. Because today we're writing slope-intercept form from 2 points. And this is going to be a little bit more difficult than the last video. Okay, there's one extra step involved. Okay, so here we go. Let's start with an example. And we're going to write the full instructions this time. Okay, not every time, but this time. So here's what it would say. Write the equation of the line that passes through, and we're going to write an ordered pair right here, passes through 6, -2, and here's another point, 12, -6. So write the equation of the line that passes through 6, -2, and 12, -6. So I'm out of little graphs. Oh, no, I'm not. I got one right here. One thing you could do is you could plot this point and this point, connect it. Okay, so 6, -2 is right here. 12 is off my grid. -6 would be right there. I could take a ruler, line it up, try and find the intercept, figure out the slope, and plug that in. But are you always going to have graph paper next to you? No. Are you always going to be given pretty points like this that have whole numbers and are pretty low? No. So you have to know how to solve this algebraically. That's why you're in algebra. Okay. So what are the things we need? Well, in order to write something in slope-intercept form, we need to know m, which is the slope, and we need to know b, which is the y-intercept. Last lesson, the slope was given to you. I told you what m was, so we didn't have to solve for m. We did end up having to solve for b. Remember that? We plugged in x, y, m, and then we just had to solve for b. But this time we don't know m. But what is m? M is slope. Have I taught you in this class, have I taught you how to find slope from 2 points? You better say yes, because I have. Okay. Slope from 2 points, we did that, back in December. I think it was in slope part 2. If you still haven't watched that video, it's in slope part 2. So that definitely needs to be known. So I am going to write some steps off to the side, and that would be step 1. Step 1 would be find slope. Okay. Now, slope from 2 points. Remember that crazy formula? Let's go ahead and write that in. Remember, it's your change in y, which is y2 minus y1. And then on the bottom is your change in x, so x2 minus x1. Gotta kind of be experts on slope from 2 points in order for today to go well, okay? So step 1 is find slope. So let's go ahead and do that. If you need to set up your little x1, x2, you can totally do that. So here's x1, here's y1, here's x2, here's y2. Okay, so if we plug in the points correctly, I'm taking the second y value, which is -6, and I'm subtracting the first y value, which is -2. Some of you are still forgetting to show that 2 is negative. So on top, you should have -6 minus -2. Okay. On the bottom, you take your second x value, you subtract your first x value. So 12 minus 6 would go on the bottom. So set that up if you haven't already. Now we're just going to simplify this down a little bit. When I subtract a negative, that's the same thing as adding. So this is the same as negative 6 plus 2. 12 minus 6 is 6. Let's see, negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. So I have a negative 4 over 6. That can be simplified. You need to simplify that down. Both of those are divisible by 2. So negative 4/6 simplifies to negative 2/3. Okay. So that was okay because we've done slope from 2 points. So that's the next little piece to the puzzle is we know the slope. So I know the slope. Now I just have to figure out B. Last lesson, we learned how to solve for B. That's step 2. Solve for B. Now, how do you solve for B? Well, you got to plug in X, Y, and M. You just found M. You just need to remember that in order to know X and Y, well, you actually have some options here. You could use this X and this Y, or you could use this X and this Y. What you can't do is you can't use the X from this ordered pair and the Y from this other ordered pair. Okay, so I'm just going to say use one of the XY points. Okay, so you're going to use one of the XY points. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I'm just going to choose this one. I like to circle it. Just to let me know that when I start plugging things in, I need to take the numbers from that ordered pair. Okay, so we'll do that next. Solve for B. Okay, so when I solve for B, I'm going to plug in what I know into y equals mx plus b. What's my y value that I can plug in? Well, I'm using this ordered pair, so my y value is going to be negative 2. Drop down my equal sign. What can I plug in for m? You just found m. M is negative 2/3. Timesing that by x, did we have an x? Yeah, technically it gave you an x value, right? X would be 6 because we're coming from that first ordered pair. And then I drop down plus b. We're gonna have to solve for b. Okay. All right. So I'm going to simplify this right-hand side. I'm going to do some multiplication here. Negative 2/3 times 6 is negative 4. Here's why. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. Divide by the bottom. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. Of course, use a calculator. Okay, I'm just trying to get you through this. So I'm going to drop down everything else. Now that everything's simplified on both sides, this is where I get to start moving stuff or canceling things out, however you want to think about it. I want to get b by itself. Right now, the negative 4 is hanging out there. Get rid of the negative 4. How? By adding 4. Because negative 4 plus 4 is 0. It's nothing. It disappears. But whatever I do on one side, I have to do to the other. Negative 2 plus 4 is positive 2. So we got b equals 2. The last step here, my friends, is to just plug in your m and b into the equation. Plug in m and b into y equals mx plus b. Okay, here's your steps. We do need to make sure we do that last little thing though. So our final answer would be y equals, what's my m? Negative 2/3. X, don't forget that x. And then plus b, but our b value is positive 2, so plus 2. Okay. So hopefully that's okay. Hopefully that's sitting okay with you. Similar to last lesson where you have to solve for b, but this time the slope is not given to you. You have to solve for slope first. Do slope from 2 points. Okay, so we're going to try and squeeze in a practice question right here. Okay, same sort of thing. I'm not going to write out all the directions, but here are the 2 points that the line goes through. 1, -8 and -4, 2. Okay, we always start with finding slope. That's your first move. So let's go ahead and do that. If you need to label your points, label your points. Okay, so on top, I'd be taking 2 minus -8. That's my y2 minus y1. On the bottom, I'd be taking -4 minus 1. That's my x2 minus x1. And now I go ahead and simplify that down. 2 minus -8, when you subtract a negative, it really becomes a big fat plus sign. So 2 plus 8 is 10. -4 minus 1 is -5. Use a calculator. I don't want you to mess up just because silly mistakes of -4 minus 1. Okay, use a calculator. Last thing we always do, should always do, is simplify. 10 divided by -5 is -2. So you just found that your slope is -2. Okay, now we're going to start plugging stuff in to solve for b. So we solved for slope. Now we need to find b. If you need steps like that, you can do it. Okay, so for y, well, I got 2 y values. You got to pick an ordered pair. It's either this one or this one. Doesn't matter which one, you'll get the same answer. Okay, I'm going to choose this first ordered pair. What's my y value? My y value is -8. Set that equal to m. Your m is -2. Times it by x, but you have an x, it's 1, plus b. So I'm plugging that into y equals mx plus b, right? Now we solve for b. Okay, so let's do that multiplication right there. -2 times 1 is -2. Drop everything down. I want to get b by itself, so I cancel out this -2. Since it's negative, I'm going to add 2. Whatever I do on one side, I have to do to the other. -8 plus 2 is -6. So you just found that your b value is -6. Now that you have both of those things, you can write the equation of the line. Sorry, this is going to be a little bit off the page. Final answer is y equals m, so -2, x plus b, but your b is negative, so we say -6. Final answer, y equals -2x minus 6. Okay, got some more practice for you. Also got some like interesting situations that might happen. So here's practice problem 2. -2, 6. And 1, -3. Okay. What I think would be great is for you to try and find slope on your own, pause the video, and then play it just to make sure you're good on finding slope. Because I'm just going to kind of go quick from here on out. Okay. So for slope, we should take -3 minus 6 over 1 minus -2. -3 minus 6 is -9. 1 minus -2, that's a plus really. So that's a 3. So right here, I found that my slope is -3. If that was too confusing, you need to contact me and we'll do slope from 2 points, okay? But from now on, I'm just gonna kind of go quick through it. Okay, now we get to solve for b. So I'm gonna use this ordered pair. That's my x, that's my y. So I'm gonna plug it in and do 6 is equal to 6 is equal to m, so -3 times x, -2, plus b. Okay. Multiply those real quick. -3 times -2. Negative times negative is +6. 6 is equal to 6 plus b. Okay, well, I want b by itself, so I get rid of this 6, subtract 6. Whatever I do on one side, I have to do to the other. Now your 6's both cancel out, but I can't leave nothing on that one side. So what is 6 minus 6? 6 minus 6 is 0. Your b value is 0. What does that mean? The intercept is 0. That means that it goes through the origin, okay? So when I go to write the equation for this, y equals m, it's -3, x, and then usually I would do plus b. But if your b value is 0, do we really need to write plus 0? Is it necessary? No. Okay, so you don't really need the plus 0 there. All right. Number 3. Number 3, here we go. 5, -2 and -6, -2. Pause the video, at least try and find slope without me. Play it when you want to. Okay. So for slope, I do -2 minus -2 over -6 minus 5. -2 minus -2, that's really a plus right there. -2 plus 2 is 0. -6 minus 5 is -11. So I have 0 over -11. 0 divided by anything is 0, okay? If the slope is 0, this is where you got to kind of start thinking of HOYBUX. Slope of 0, what type of line is that? Slope of 0, that's a horizontal line. So we don't really need to plug that in and solve for b, because guess what? You can write the equation right now. I mean, you can totally solve for b, plug in 0 for m, do all that stuff, solve for b. But we already know if the slope is 0, then it's definitely going to be a y equals and then just some number. Remember we did that a few weeks ago? Well, look at your y values in both of these points. Y is always equal to what? -2. That's the equation of the line. And if you think about that, if you were to graph these 2 points, and this is just going to be a quick little graph, 5, -2 would be like there, -6, -2 would be like there, and then you'd go, oh yeah, that is a horizontal line, y equals -2. Okay, so that's kind of a weird one. Here's number 4. Okay, number 4. 4, -3 and 0, 2. Okay, I hope some of you on this one are looking at that going, it's got a 0 in it. Well, is it an x-intercept or a y-intercept? If it's an x-intercept, that doesn't help us. But if it's a y-intercept, then that means that we already know our b value. 0, -2 is right here, or that's 0, +2, sorry. 0, 2 is right there. That's a y-intercept. So this right here, my friends, that's your b value. What's b equal to? 2. Now, we still don't have m though, so we're still going to have to solve for m. So go ahead, pause the video, see if you can do m by yourself, okay? 2 minus -3 over 0 minus 4. 2 minus -3, that's a +5. 0 minus 4 is -4. So slope of the line here is negative 5/4. Okay. So you have m, e was actually given to us. And sometimes that happens. It's always something I look for. So now that I have those two things, I write the equation of my line. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals negative 5/4 x plus 2. Hopefully this is making some sense. This last problem here is your practice problem. It's the one that you're going to enter into your entry task. Okay, here you go. Negative 1,6 and 1,-2. Neither of those give you the y-intercept, so you are going to have to do the whole thing. Solve for slope, solve for b, write that final equation. Good job today, guys. See you in class.